Hello, good day. This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros in Real Estate. And my guest this morning or this evening or this afternoon, wherever time zone you're in, is Jeff Mistretta from Exit Realty Achieve. How are you?
Doing great, Joe. It's a true honor for you to have invited me here today. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Honor's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know who you are, but the folks at home don't.
Absolutely. You know what? Before I am anything else, I am a dad. I absolutely adore my children. Huge family guy. Have always been that way. Recently remarried, so we have a youngin at home, just about 15 months old. And I have my oldest daughter, Danica. She just turned 10 actually a couple of days ago.
I know.
She's a great big sister. She's from my first marriage, and you know what? Just been making some really good decisions in the last decade of my life. And you know what? When you make good decisions, you get to write your story. And I'm just really loving time, with them, and having the flexibility being in real estate. It's hands down the best results for me is spending my time with my family. Yeah, I love that.
I love that. That's great. Family is everything, right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about your real estate career. How did you get started and how long you've been a realtor?
So ironically, I never really had an adoration for housing. In 2004, during the boom, prior to me being in real estate, I had a friend of mine, my best friend at the time. He had entered the military and was traveling and stationed in different places. And he ended up in Virginia. And he called me. He's like, listen, I bought this house like 6 months ago, and someone just knocked on my door and offered me like 30 grand more, right? Now, I was 24 years old. I'm not going to lie, Joe. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And I'm like, well, I did like money. So I'm like, that seems like a pretty good opportunity. Now, I knew values were going up, but I didn't understand trends. I didn't understand supply and demand. I didn't understand any of that, right? So I just booked it down to Virginia, and I purchased an investment property. We rehabbed it, refinanced, held it. And I just started falling in love with that aspect of real estate. I was at the time managing restaurants, doing training, hiring, bartending, pretty much everything. Matter of fact, I started in the restaurant business when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So right around mid 2006, I said, you know what? I need a primary residence. I was 26 years old. Prices were so high here on Long Island. That was right before the bubble burst, but I had no idea. So I purchased a home that I could not afford. And while I was in contract, Joe, you're going to really appreciate this. While I was in contract, I quit my job in the restaurant business. And I decided to become a real estate agent because it was so darn easy. I thought.
Oh, no.
So back then, you didn't need a job to actually buy a house, which worked out well. So I closed on my property. I answered an ad in the paper which said, basically, learn while you earn. And I joined a Century 21 office on the South Shore. And I was there for almost 10 years.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's how I got into real estate. Kind of.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. So, once I got into the real estate business, I found that I had an immediate desire to help people grow their businesses. Probably prematurely to even knowing what I was doing. It's just something that's always been a vein in me. In the restaurant business, I was training people, helping people, growing their income. And that just kind of parlayed into the restaurant business. As a matter of fact, I remember approaching my broker at the time. I was probably in the business a year. Maybe I sold 2 or 3 houses, if that, at the time. Again, when I got in, everybody else was getting out. The bubble had just bursted. I should have probably said that. And people were quitting. The licensees on Long Island plummeted. And I'm like, here I am, just a big smile on my face, oblivious to everything that was going on. And, I approached him about training people, mentoring people. And he's like, all right, well, why don't you sell some homes first, right? Which was the best advice. And truthfully, I think I worked extra hard to be able to support my clients' needs and help them on their goals in order for me to get to my goals, which is really just helping people build something for themselves and their families. And that kind of leads me to where I am today.
That's awesome. That is a great story. And I want to educate the new agents, especially out there watching this program, in understanding that it doesn't come easy. You have to work hard, and you have to continue working hard, even as a seasoned veteran in the business. I hate those words, seasoned and veteran. I really hate them. I wish there was some way we could better phrase those titles, the idea is to educate them on people how to list better, how to become better listers, how to become more professional in the industry. But as a listing show, because you are a listings pro, everyone has a secret sauce to real estate. What is your secret sauce to listing houses?
Well, so it's kind of multifaceted, Joe, and I like to say that I'm always searching to serve someone's needs, right? I'm not going to try to convince someone to sell. I'm not going to try to convince someone to buy. I know we're talking about listings, but that's not where my heart is. My heart is, do you have a need? Now, with that being said, sometimes there's an opportunity in a marketplace that people who are living in their homes just are unaware of, because perhaps they just bought the house a couple of years ago. They had no desire to move. So I'll give you an example that's relevant to what's happening in the marketplace today. We come out of COVID, interest rates dropped below 3%. There was this huge pent up demand that we were actually ready for. We were ready and waiting to be able to get out there. And so I was teaching my agents, like, reach out to the people who bought a house 2, 3, 4 years ago, because remember when you bought your first house, there was always that next level tiered home you wanted. Maybe it had the master suite. Maybe it had the finished basement. Maybe it had the in-ground pool. But you had to purchase at a particular level, right? Like there's a certain line that you could afford. So I demonstrated mathematically how with this huge, like this 8% increase we just all of a sudden only magically had on Long Island, how someone who purchased 3 years ago can leverage their original down payment, whatever that might have been, sell, use the equity that they built up in the property and parlay it into a new home and step up into that next one. With the lower interest rates, payments very often can be very similar, if not the same. So we went out to find people who had those desires and those needs. So to answer your question, Joe, the first thing is that you need to know what's going on in the marketplace and how can people, the customer, the clients, take advantage of that opportunity. And then you need to educate the masses to determine and surface, who has that need.
I'm glad you said educate, because education is very key to what we do as realtors, as what we do as listing agents, and how we service our people is very important as well. So I'm glad you said that operative word.
And you know what, Joe, if you don't mind, I'll continue. Like, I think it's super important that agents step up their game. Like, the industry needs to step up. We need to know what's happening in the market. We need to know local trends. We need to know, how loans get done. I don't want my agents to be specialists in originating a loan. That's not what I'm saying. But they need to know supply and demand and absorption ratio and how that affects the end user, the person who's going to be moving into these properties. I'll give you an example. So I told you I got into the business at the end of 2006. And, you're looking around, people are leaving, you don't make a sale the first 6, 7 months you're in the business anyway. And all of a sudden the inventory started building up. Well, I was able to still sell a home in that marketplace when there were 1,000 homes in every town on Long Island available, because we were able to demonstrate to the seller that the market is coming down 1% a month at the time. I remember these numbers just randomly. And you need to intersect with your list price, to get the attraction. So even back then, I was able to get multiple offers on a property where we could choose the buyer with the best terms, for that particular seller, whether it's time frame or nothing to sell or whatever the case may be. So again, it goes back to education, right? Like, if you're able to educate your clients, my philosophy is if they know which paths they can take, they have to choose the one that's best for them to get to their goal. I'm very goal-oriented with clients, and I think that shines through when I sit with someone, especially for the first time.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, if you will, for both of us to get out there into the field, educate agents, tell them a little bit about what we know, our flavor, and hopefully they will adapt to the verbiage, because the verbiage is so important.
Yes.
and just get out there and send that message to the consumer, because a lot of agents complain, I don't have a secret sauce. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to list. Well, first of all, you got to be engaging, and you
Yes.
can't come across as a lump on
Salesperson.
the log.
Right.
And a lot of them they don't even have like an extroverted personality. And I know you do a lot of research. You've done a lot, and you do a lot of work with disc
Yeah.
personalities, right?
We certainly
And
do.
so can you just explain real brief what disc is and why every agent should learn disc?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so at Exit
I
Real.
know the interview just took a turn. I
No,
know,
that's fine.
but
That's
I
fine.
know you, and I know you're good at the disc, so I wanted to
Yeah.
bring you on to explain it as well.
You know what? I'm grateful because I actually was first told about Discord at my former office, but we had like one training on it, and honestly, it is kind of convoluted and it's intertwined. And at Exit Corp, we actually have a trainer who's an author, who's actually also an agent, that teaches all of our agents this. And the beauty behind that, Joe, is that it affects your life, it affects your relationships, and I'll explain why. So this personality profiling is basically how, number one, how to determine what type of personality you're interacting with based on DISC, and they all stand for obviously something different. But more so, it teaches the user how to communicate and the expectations of that other personality type. So when we're learning the DISC profile, and I mean, I'll give you a couple of random examples. Like a D personality is the person that comes in the office, walks past everybody, has a lot to do, get it done. They don't like long storytelling, which means they don't really love talking to me, right? Because I could talk forever, right? Like it's like
Me
get to the point.
too.
Hey, let's get to the point. Let's get it done. I just need the facts. I don't need all the fluff, right? So that's like a D personality, a driver, right? Driver at heart. Like a C personality is very analytical. They want charts and graphs, and they want all the data to be able to make a decision. They take longer to make a decision. Those people really upset D personalities because they're like, "What is taking you so long?" Right? Like just I told you what you need to know, right? So, but Joe, why is this important? Because when you're going to have an appointment with someone who is selling a property, it's important to be able to determine, even on the phone, by the words that they use and by their needs, what type of personality they are, so you become prepared to fill their need, right? To help serve
Correct.
them. It's not about pulling the wool over someone's eyes. It's everyone learns differently and everyone communicates differently.
And one personality can get along with another as long as that personality understands the other, and
Right.
vice versa. There are certain personalities that clash
Well,
in
they're
our
all
business, right?
and for particular reasons, and when you're in a room with Angel Tucker, who teaches you this class, like it's just ironic because you're all sitting there with your personality assessments, and she's talking about spouses and children, and but the nice thing is that it pours so much vibrance into your life and understanding, because even just with a heightened understanding as to why someone is the way they are to you,
Yeah.
why they look that way to you, because it really is, to me, you appear this way. To someone else, they may appear a completely different way depending on that other personality. And it's really, really, really interesting. It's a beautiful thing, and you help serve people's needs at the level which they need it to be able to make a decision, which is always my goal, right? Find the need, serve it, fill it, educate, and let them
Yeah.
choose the path that's best for them.
I thank you for explaining all that, because a lot of new agents, especially a lot of older agents in the business, they don't understand that this is our part of our professional development
Yes.
as realtors. We have to understand this. We have to know this. And everyone thinks like education stops at a certain point in their real estate career. It's continuous, and it's flowing, and it's good, and it's actually very, very invigorating. It redefines who we are as real estate agents. Tell me, on that note, I want to switch topics to technology. Do
Yeah.
you use a special technology to market your listings?
So yeah, I mean, this could be a 3-hour thing altogether.
No, I don't have 3 hours.
I know. Regularly, Corp gives us this marketing suite that's all about lead practice. See, Joe, like the conversation with my sellers is that I don't want to just market your home. I want to create conversations, right? So a lot of these scale marketing doesn't create conversations. yes, you could put a house on the internet. Yes, there's 1,000 websites. Yes, there's MLS. Yes, there's that basic line. But how do you get those people to jump out of the computer and actually
Right.
contact the agent?
Right.
So we just have some interesting things like a geolocating sign. So when a buyer is being crazy and they're driving past your client's house, because we know buyers do that, right? They're on Google Earth, they're like all over the place. Like our signs say, text exit to 85377, and immediately that consumer gets pictures and pricing, but I get their cell phone number. So I'm able to have a conversation. So I just listed a property in Patchogue yesterday or 2 days ago, and we were talking about conversations, right? Like I can create a beautiful flyer, and we have that, right? I actually just designed a design studio from the ground up using a firm out in Southern California. So our agents can create beautiful stuff that looks like they paid a fortune to be able to market the home: flyers, door knockers, postcards, social media posts. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't create a conversation, Joe, then it's only about me, about my ego, about the way I look, and to me, there's a turnoff in our industry, when it becomes not about the consumer and it comes about the agent. And we have those agents, right? There's those agents all across the country that's just all about ego. And it's like, this is really no place for ego.
Well, they interpret that as branding, and
Yeah,
they're branding themselves, but
absolutely.
it is ego. They're very egocentric, and as long as you have a nice, healthy ego, your head can still
Healthy
get into
ego.
the door,
You know what? I just like to keep my stuff about my client. I like to keep the focus on, as far as ethics go, you do everything for the best decision of your consumer and your client.
Mhm.
So I maybe I fly under the radar a little bit. We're as far as technology goes, we're also doing retargeting right now with a platform that I interviewed with. So essentially, when one of my agents gets a new listing, automatically the company covers a 1 week ad. And this is like, you've heard of like AdWorks and all that. So this is a different
Sure, sure.
organization. I just felt like they were doing it better and getting more conversations. So we do a 1 week ad. It's like 3,500 impressions, but it's not just on Facebook and it's not just on Instagram, Joe. This company believes that they have figured out how to determine when someone on their computer looks like a buyer, right? They're on Lowe's.com or they went to Zillow, and it puts the house in front of them on all these other websites. And so we talk about branding. This is completely branded to myself or our agents, depending on who's using the tool. We very much believe in branding. We want our agents to be the person in their neighborhood that is the go-to person, right? That's super
Yeah,
important.
sure.
Keep it local, very local. It's all about
Being the market expert is
it's all about
very
relationships.
key.
Yeah, if you're not hyper local, it's ironic, right? Technology takes us to a place where we can do business from anywhere, right? But you and I both know when it comes down to it, it's all relational. Face to face with a client. There's nothing that's going to replace that. It's just the way it is. So hyper local will be, and it's gotten stronger, I think, where the answers are.
Totally. It's getting better and better because it exposes the listing a little bit more than just the passive marketing that most agents do by just putting a sign and putting it on multiple listing and
Right.
set it and forget it type of mentality.
Yeah.
And that's why I created this program, because I wanted people to hear, agents in our industry especially, to hear this. The consumer, it was important for me to put this thing together so the consumer could understand that it's just, we do more than what we do.
Right.
And well, there are certain listing agents, listing pros, that do more than what they do. That's why they call listing pros on this program.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that a homeowner has to consider today, and there's a lot of knowledge and education that agents have to pick up on. Tell me something. If you were giving advice to a new agent today, what best advice would you give in how to start listing?
Absolutely. I do this on a regular basis. So, without a doubt, you have to create a database. Have to. It's one of those things that when you interview agents who've been in the business 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's the most forgotten and overlooked object that is a true foundation to a business. I guess it's the philosophy like, oh, they'll always remember I'm in real estate, or oh, I'll always remember them. They're not. I'm not going to forget about them. But you need a place to constantly be putting people into a database so that you don't forget them and you don't overlook it. And in years' time, that thing elevates to such an asset for a
Right.
real estate agent. And then the other thing, Joe, is communication level. I don't think there is anything for me anyway that's more disturbing than to hear such negative feedback from other consumers or clients or whatever about the lack of communication between a listing agent and the homeowner. And I'm sure if you look up NAR's reports, it's still probably the number one complaint because,
It is.
yeah,
It actually is. Yep.
I'm sure because, and it's so silly, right? Like you're either in the business or you're not. That's the way I look at it. Now I respect part timers and people who are doing this with second jobs.
And the National Association of Realtors cannot fix this. This
Right.
has to come this is an internal issue with realtors in general, managers, brokers that set the
Yeah.
tone. They have to let their new agents know that communication is key.
Yeah.
Feedback is key. It's
Right.
part of our fiduciary duties to be accountable.
That's right.
And yet our fiduciary duties are not being brought to light. I'm not a broker owner anymore, but when I was a broker owner, the fiduciary duties, even as a trainer, as a coach right now, as somebody's mentor, the fiduciary duties and we go out, we're on steroids together. We live and breathe by them. And agents, new agents, as well as seasoned agents or people who have been in the business a long time, like you and I, we understand that.
That's right.
But if you had to give advice to an older agent in the business, what kind of advice would you give that person? Same?
No. Well, I mean, obviously those are basic principles, right? That foundation. But you know what? Ironically, I think sometimes if you're a seasoned agent, an experienced agent, better than older, right?
Seasoned. I like chicken, seasoned. Season the turkey.
I think you have to always be learning and growing. If you ever get to a point, I think in any career, but this is the business I'm in, you get to a point where you think you know it. You're not showing up to office meetings. You're not showing up to training. It's just moving along, right? The market just keeps on going and growing, and so do people and technology. Everything just keeps on moving. So if you stay still, by the time you look around, you're going to realize that, I don't belong here anymore, right? And we don't want that. We don't. We want people who are professional in the industry. Like I'll give you a sample. So what I was going to say is if you're a seasoned agent and you feel like you're getting a little stale, you need a company to provide you training in tech, right? And how to use it. But also look at the new people who are successful. Don't look at a new person who's successful and go, you're just lucky. I was told that when I was in the younger days in my business, and it really bothered me. I said, "Oh, I'm just
beginner's luck." Oh, beginner's luck.
I'm lucky year after year after year. That's okay. I'll live on luck if that's what you think it is. But look at the younger people. Look what they're doing. I'll give you an example. So, I'm mostly managing the office. I'm trying to remove myself from sales a little bit. Obviously, I still serve my sphere of influence and things like that. But I listed a property a couple months ago, right before this spike thing happened, right, where there's 15 offers on every house on Long Island. And I saw that this was happening all of a sudden. And I told my client, I'm like, go away for 5 days. Right. Number one, we had COVID. Right. So yeah, people in and out. I said, go away for 5 days. You come back, you sanitize once, you're safe. I'll have 14 offers for you, 15 offers. And they did. They took my advice. And I did that actually several times in a row. But one of the things I did, I can't keep up with 50 showings. We had 55 showings in a weekend, right? Or in 4 days, Thursday to Sunday. So, Joe, how do I follow up, right? Like my job is to follow up. You just said that. So I ratted my brain a little bit. So what did I do? I took out my camera. I did a selfie video. I said, hey, it's Jeff Mistretta, Ex-Realty Chief. Thank you so much for showing 123 Main Street. I really appreciate it. Listen, the market's crazy. My main objective is to make sure every buyer out there has an opportunity to either own this home or present an offer if they want. So we're going to be going over all offers Sunday at 6 p.m. Please make sure it's your highest and best, whatever the strategy is, right? So this way, I shot off that video to every single agent that showed it, and they all were able to watch it on their own time. But if you're calling these agents, you could get them to, maybe they're in the shower, maybe they're sleeping, maybe they're, with another appointment. But that video sat there until they watched it. And I can't tell you how many agents just call me back to say, wow, what a great idea. Like, that was pretty
It
interesting.
is a great idea. Yeah.
So yeah,
Set it and forget it.
set
No,
it and
but
forget it, right?
you actually set it and reset it because
Right,
it gave a little bit, you set the expectations.
right,
So it's,
right,
and a lot of us, in the business who have been in the industry a long time, we don't learn from the younger people.
right.
We're very complacent, and there are agents out there that are very, very anti-tech,
Right.
which
Yeah,
bothers me because I was one of those people that would sit there and go, "Oh my God, my brain is fried." But I knew that this was very important for my longevity in the industry. How long you been an agent?
so it's the end of 2006, August 2006. So
Okay, 2000. I've been in the real estate business since 1989.
God bless.
And you have to kind of like just keep redefining yourself
That's
if
right.
you're a real estate agent. And you have to go into a listing as if it's not your first day, but the best day. You're exciting about, wanting to serve that person. You go in there and you go, "Hi, my name is Joe Sedona.
Right.
I'll be your realtor today." I mean, nobody's gonna list with somebody like that because they want energy, they want dynamic, and you and I have that kind of attitude.
I just love helping people, and I love when you change the mindset of the client about real estate agents. When someone says to me, "You changed my mind about what real estate agents do," like that to me is it. That's everything, right? Because we have a very hobbyistic industry, right? It's not very hard to get a real estate license. We know that. We know that it's a part-timer's field day, right? So we know it's a practice though, Joe, right? Like, think about when we were kids, right? We heard these terms on TV: law practice, dental practice, right? These are professionals who are consistently doing something every day, including new training, new technology. If you went to your dentist and he took out a power drill and said, "All right, I got to take out that," you'd be like, "Oh, buddy, what was the last seminar you went to?" Right? So this is a real estate practice. We don't use that terminology anymore. But if you're not in it, you can't get to it. And
Well, because the public is fooled by the reality television show where you sell a house in a limousine for in an hour, BS, or those stupid other shows on HGTV, and I don't care if I get sued because
I mean,
at
I don't
this
watch
point, what are you gonna do? It's not, they're not real. They're not real to what we do as real estate professionals, and and of course you're gonna have those dummies who don't follow the code of ethics or don't care about their fiduciary responsibilities. We
that's,
take them serious, you and I,
yeah,
and
right.
that's why you're here.
Right.
You're a listing pro on my show. That's why you're here.
That's an honor. It's an honor, certainly. So yeah.
So getting to the fiduciary duties and responsibilities, if you had to pick one, and I know they're all important, but which one would you pick? If I had to say old car: obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, or reasonable care. Which one would Jeff Mistretta pick, and why?
That's a horrible question to ask me without prepping.
I know. Everyone hates answering it too.
You know what?
But which one would you pick and why?
Yeah. So in my impression, is loyalty to me is the umbrella of all of those. And I guess maybe that's because I'm a family man. Maybe I feel that because loyalty, marriage, obviously, like, good relationships. But to me, loyalty is the umbrella that covers all of those things. That's my opinion. I'm not saying Webster Dictionary will agree. But to me, if you're loyal to someone, you're gonna keep everything confident. You're gonna work in their best interest. You're gonna educate them. Like, you're gonna take care. Like, so to me, loyalty is the best. That says it all.
That's great. That's great. So we're out of time, but I just want to thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure, Jeff. You were on my radar for so long, and I finally got you here on Coffee Talk, and I want to thank you for being here. Last minute thoughts?
No last minute thoughts. Just always know what's going on in your marketplace. Always know the trends. Always educate. Always communicate, and always smile, because that's where you're gonna win.
And that's how I'm going to end this conversation. Thank you very much. This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this has been another great episode. I think this is the 70th episode of Coffee Talk so far. And once we get to 100, I'm going to bring back all of these beautiful people that I've had on the show, and we're going to do a follow-up to Coffee Talk called Coffee Talk Now or Later. Right. And I hope you'll come back and visit us, Jeff, on that special show. And I want to thank you and thank the viewers for plugging in today. And I'll see you real soon. Take care.
Okay, Joe. Thanks so much.